December 16, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was some economic data that came out around 5:15, which is about right here where my cursor is. Actually, about right here. It was the ADP weekly employment change, some think like employment numbers, retail sales, unemployment rate. Then around 6:45, which is about right here, is the flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI. Overall, the market was just kind of choppy sideways. It did have a lot more volume than yesterday, but it was just kind of like oscillating, creating these big swing legs. And I did mark quite a few more trades than I typically do, and I managed to take one. So there's also some almost trades. I'm going to try to get into them right now. The pre-market carrying over from yesterday had this big sell-off. It looked like it was pretty much like two big legs. One leg pull back, second leg, two legs up, another push back down. Looked like it was moving up this red leg, but it actually fit closer to maybe this yellow leg up. Pushes the high, makes the pre-market high, flushes down, and then on the open it was just kind of sideways. So it was moving. I was expecting a test of the low of this orange down channel, and it successfully does it right here, but then reverses. And then it started to look like it was in a trading range. I saw a lower high here, but I call it an almost trade because there's a failed breakout of what I thought might have been a potential range because of what I'm seeing in real time. So I'm not really sure this is a range yet because there's not enough confirmation, but I thought there might have been a failed breakout here, but at least it's a first entry short pullback, second entry short, and then you get a lower high here. The problem with this lower high is I wasn't 100% sure if the bottom of the range or the possible range was actually right here or further down where it currently sits. So there's no trade there, or no safe trade in my opinion, even though it's a decent signal bar. Also, it's pushing the limit of getting into the lows. Move sideways, so you'd have to sit through this noise because my stop likely would have been one tick above this guy, or actually maybe one tick above here, but this isn't a very good trade. Prices move up and it creates a triple test. One touch, two touch, three touch. Failed breakout here. Failed to break out to this other side because I was thinking this is the actual range now because by the time all this price action had occurred, I had this blue trading range established. And as you can see, there's a failed breakout here. It fails to make it right here. And then a second attempt here. This is a triple test, but there's no trade here. I just didn't like the signal bar. But I actually thought the first possible trade would have been right here. There's a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short. I'm expecting a test back and move back to the low side. So it's a decent signal bar. And even though it's, after the break of this green up channel, you might think it's going to test the high, but I saw it as it already attempted to complete a failed breakout on this side. It failed here, and then you're left with this pretty decent looking signal bar, which I thought was a good trade or a possible trade and would have been good to probably have prices pressed down to here. Looks like it would have worked. It moves down on this yellow down channel. There's a break on this side and a subsequent break here. I was debating whether this trend channel could have been extended here because it looks like it may be a two-tier channel and then the midline fits pretty well. So there'd be no break here. But I thought maybe if I kept it tighter, it made a little more sense as a breakout here and then tested low and now it's reversing back up. This is sideways consolidation. Technically, I have a new low, first entry short pullback, second entry short bad signal bar, no trade here, no other key entry points, so nothing to look for here. Which just breaks this green up channel, tests the high, starts flushing down this yellow or this orange down channel. So first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but this is your signal bar. This isn't really any kind of setup because it could also look like it's fitting in this orange down channel. So nothing here. Creates a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short, no good signal bar, continues up. In real time, I'm thinking, okay, this could be a support region because it looked like there was some kind of respect by the market to not break this, and then looks like this might be the high side. So I did establish this trading range, thinking, okay, this could be a possible range, but I need more price action to verify it, to really trust that this could be a key entry point. Pushes down, pulls down, and creates a failed breakout potential. Confirmed here, so it looks like it's moving back into the blue trading range. And I'm expecting prices to eventually break out to this side, I'm thinking. Pushes up, so it's actually a first entry short. Second entry short. Second entry short, I'm wondering if it's going to have a failure here. It does create a failure right here, but this is an inside bar, so there's no way for me to enter that. Pushes back down, breaks the low side. I was debating whether the actual range could actually be maybe down here now. So I'm thinking maybe there was no breakout here. I'm not the biggest fan of this empty space though. Looks like it's a fail breakout and it continues. There's a localized high. Say first entry long pullback, second entry long bad signal bar, nothing here. Starts moving down. So I'm not thinking prices are going to move back into this range anymore. So this range is irrelevant, but I'm going to put it back to where I originally thought it was. My notes, my written notes correspond to this setup or this way I drew it at the time. Prices move down this orange down channel. Technically, you say, I think I've already mentioned it, first entry long, second entry long, potential failure, but you don't get a failure till here. But this signal bar wasn't the best, so it wasn't really enticing. Maybe if it had touched and it got rejected off the EMA, maybe it would have been more appealing. Prices continue moving down. Looks like it's fitting this orange down channel remarkably well. Pushes up. You have a local low, or actually global low. First entry short, pullback, second entry short failure, but this isn't really a clean setup. Looks like it's just one big green leg up. Break of the green up channel, test the high. So it actually could be a visual first entry short, pullback, second entry short. In any case, I want a lower high, ideally below the EMA. You don't quite get that and just kind of creates a new setup again. It's just prices are just creating a new trend. Break of this orange down channel, test the low, attempts to make a second attempt, is kind of bottoming. Okay, so it makes a second attempt, starts pushing back up. Keep in mind, the EMA is very unreliable right now because it's this blue one. You can see prices, well, in the pre-market, it doesn't really matter. In, in the regular trading hours, you have prices above and below it, and EMA is just slicing through it. So it's hard to use it as a key entry point to really trust that it's a resistance or a support at this point. So you have a localized high, it's a first entry long pullback. You technically have a second entry long failure, but I felt this setup, this second entry long failure, although it's a good signal bar, it's a little far from what's happening. And to be honest, I felt a little ambiguous what prices were going to do when I see this in real time. It's a decent signal bar. Do I really want to take a failure here when it's not clearly defined? Not exactly, because this orange down channel is technically broken and tested low already. So there's less reason for this to come pushing back down. It does, though. It does create and test a new low. So this probably could have been a trade, but in real time, it's hard to predict that. Prices move up, moves up this green up channel, creates a first entry long, pull back right here. But there's no second entry long because it made a new high. So I'm just kind of sitting and waiting again. Okay, kind of resuming. I had to go take care of something offline. I think I was talking about this green up channel, or at least this one broke, tested the low already. Moves up in this green up channel, break, test the high, break of this red up channel, made one attempt. This is the second attempt. There might have been a trade here, but it's looking a little choppy. Things are just sideways, like leg up, two legs down, another break of this guy, maybe two legs down, another leg up, leg down, leg up, leg down. I tried to make a channel fit this, but to be honest, nothing quite fit right. And I'm not smart enough to really figure out what's going on yet. So I'm just looking for an easier setup. So I decided to just sit on my hands right now. Prices continue moving up. So it's a localized high. You can see it's a visual first entry, pullback second entry. It looks like it's moving down this orange down channel pretty nicely. So I at least established and trusted this. Break on this low side. Now, there's a small break here, but I wasn't sure if it was meaningful because if you drew the channel like this, because the high side fits pretty well, the low side, if I drew it like this, it's really only confirming just one point, which isn't really that great. But a little bit tighter like this, I have a small little breakout here. So am I still going to test the low? My feeling was that this break is probably going to try to test the low again. Creates a first entry short. Then it creates a second entry short. This actually sets up for my one and only trade. So it's breaking this orange down channel. Now there's a push of this green up channel. Now, depending on how you drew it, I started it with this swing, but if you drew it right here on the second candle, it does look like depending on how you drew it. It was a break and test of the high. To be honest, I had it on the first red candle, but my gut, see if I can get that put back. My gut was telling me this orange down channel is so strong, it's probably going to look for another test of the low. So when this one closed, I was on the fence, and I'll admit this trade is a little more aggressive. I thought this is a really good signal bar, even though it's green. So first entry short pullback, second entry short. Now this green up channel, you could say it broke early, but it doesn't fit well when you say it breaks early. So maybe it had been the other way. So it's testing the high. EMA had been unreliable previously, and it's only reliable very rarely when there's a trend going on. Like this trend is going on, the EMA was drifting in the same direction, as well as when it was in pre-market with just EMA drifting up. So I decided that, okay, this is a decent trade I wanted to take. I was watching it carefully. I waited for this red candle to break decisively below this guy, this signal bar. I dropped in my order. It didn't get filled right away, but it did pick it up. And I was really lucky because as soon as it picked it up, it dropped and gave me my 1 point scalp. I wasn't 100% sure on this setup because I wasn't sure if this is considered a play or it's completed this downward push. So I wasn't going to try to push for anything more, like a 1.5 or 2 point scalp. So it's a very conservative 1 point scalp. No runners, just leave it alone. It worked. And I just noticed on days like this, where the options are rolling over to the next quarters, to the March, the March contracts, things can get a little bit more tricky for me. So I just decided to be a little more conservative, just try to get a small base hit. Prices continue moving down, starts moving sideways. It hits the high side. I'm thinking I might be in a range again. Potential fail breakout. Bounce off of the low side of this range. As soon as this happened, then I really thought, okay, I'm in a range now. There is a break of this orange down channel. It tested the low, but now it's just consolidating sideways. Creates a fail breakout on this side. And I kind of liked seeing this because I saw a fail breakout on this side, corresponding fail breakout on this side. So I'm expecting prices to come back down. It was a new low, first entry short pullback. I wanted to think this is a possible trade, but it just was inside bar to this. So I was actually looking for a lower high. Potential failed, second entry short. Lower high never shows up, kind of pushes the high side, pushes down, and just kind of gets a little confusing here because the EMA, as I mentioned before, is starting to be unreliable again. It is going in the direction of the market bias, but not good enough. Pushes down, so I established this yellow up channel because it fits pretty well on the low side. High side's debatable. I wasn't sure if it was actually up here because initially I had it something like here, failed breakout, and it touches pretty well here. So maybe there's a breakout here, but it didn't affect it too much that prices are still looking like they're drifting upwards. Comes back down, and then it just flashes down. I don't really know what happened here. I think some kind of news item was released, but not economic news, just something was said. Pushes down. It just gets a little choppy. It's a new low, first entry short pullback. I thought this is a possible second entry short trade. Now, this green down channel has broken and went to the low. To expand the size of this channel kind of looks silly. If I did something like this, okay, the high side fits pretty well. So I trusted the high side of this green down channel. The low side, if I expanded it to this just to make sure there was no overshoot, it looks a little off because there's all this empty space here. So I actually kept it here, roughly here. Now, whether you kept it here or here, it's kind of up to you. But there was a break, a decisive break. First entry short pullback, second entry short. I thought, okay, there's two legs down from the low, one leg up, pullback, second leg. This is a pretty strong push back down. It's engulfing this signal bar. It looks like it's played out. Maybe the green down channel wants to test the low, but it sounds like a decent setup, at least for a 1 point scalp. I didn't know it was going to do this, but when I saw this, I was looking and hoping for a lower high. Lower high never shows up, and it kind of continues downwards. So this is just an area that's a little bit, it doesn't fit nicely as a bigger trend channel, but you have these smaller legs that are kind of giving you an idea of what's going on. So it looks like there's one big leg, two legs up, and then a second big leg. Now I got this a little bit more clarity after maybe about right here when I saw more of the price action play out. But in real time, it was hard for me to try to trust this trade without seeing a lower high confirmation. I mean, your lower high pretty much shows up here, but it's kind of far from the setup. It's far from the EMA. Doesn't quite touch it. Prices then continue moving down. This yellow down channel, I'm not even the biggest fan of because it doesn't fit quite right because it doesn't. It looks a little odd. Prices continue moving down. It's the localized low, actually the low of the day, creates a first entry short pullback, second entry short that's hidden because it actually moved up and closed down. But you don't know you have a second entry short till this candle shows up. So it's an almost trade. EMA is starting to act as resistance, but then again, the EMA is violated. I did see a triple test second entry short here. This is a localized low, first entry short pullback, second entry short, triple test, push strongly through the EMA, engulfing the previous signal bar. I thought it was a possible trade, but in real time, I didn't see this play out, or I didn't anticipate this playing out like it did. And by the time it closed here, and I was thinking maybe I should drop it order right here, it was kind of dancing up here that gave me a little bit of nervousness because I wasn't sure if I was going to push all the way down. This blue channel doesn't exist yet, so my expectation is still hit the low side. But in this case, if I did try to chase the trade after it already moved the 1 point scalp and came back up, because by the time I was thinking of dropping in a trade, it had already moved, I think, more than about a point. So for me to drop it in, I'd have to ask prices to come back up and then push back down when it already did give you the scalp if you had been on time or if I had been on time. But I wasn't, so I had to kind of let it go. And I'm actually pretty fortunate I did, because if I did drop it here and it came back, pick me up, this green candle likely would have stopped me out. Starts moving up. I drew this blue up channel because it looks like it fits pretty well, remarkably well, but it starts breaking out. So it looked like it was a shallow, not really a spike, but a shallow channel into a secondary channel because this orange one fits really well. So I'm just watching it go up with no real way to enter. It's the high side. It's a first entry long pullback. I wanted to call this a second entry long in real time, but it never broke below this guy. And this green candle is inside to this red one. So I can't really trust the trade here yet. The best I could hope for is a confirmed second entry long with two more candles showing up to create a higher low. But it doesn't do that. It kind of flushes back down. It creates a failed second entry long though, because it's a new high. First entry long pullback, second entry long, failed second entry long. I thought it might have been actual trade here because it looks like it's following this trend line resistance. And then I later turned it into a channel, but it was more something like when I was thinking in real time, I was thinking something like this. I saw something here and I arbitrarily threw something down here. And I said, okay, there's a failed second entry long here. Depending on where you're having the contact points, you may or may not have enough room before you hit a potential bounce point. But for 1 point scalp, you have enough. If you drew it like this, if you drew it a little bit more conservatively, starting from here, then you also still have a 1 point scalp, but it just feels a little bit riskier. But it is a possible trade. Breaks to the low side, starts consolidating sideways. And I noticed this setup is very similar because it broke to the low side to this one here. Because it broke to the low side and went sideways. And this is looking like it's about doing the same thing. This range is a little tighter though. So it's a localized low, first entry short, count resets, first entry short. It starts moving down, so it fits this green down channel pretty well. And as it continued downwards, I was thinking maybe this green down channel is actually something closer to this. And like the previous channel I had somewhere previously, it fits the midline pretty well. So it's acting as respecting the midline, but there was no real trade for me to take. Bounces, it's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short failure. I actually thought this was a decent trade because the break of the screen down channel makes one attempt down. Second attempt is a lot weaker. It never pushes down, and it had a strong reverse push back up. So it looks like it's a first entry short, second entry short. This green down channel, it doesn't look that strong because if you drew it like this, it looked like there was already a break sideways and tested the low. So I'm thinking maybe the down push has played out. Decent signal bar, enough for a quick 1 point scalp. So this would have worked for a 1 point, 2 point, even 3 point scalp. Prices push up in this red up channel, say first entry long, count resets. It starts just kind of moving sideways again. It moves this. So the name of the game today is, I'm not really sure. The shortened trend channels fit pretty well, but trying to get a bigger one was a little bit harder to decipher because these, like this yellow one, this blue one, this transparent red one, they all didn't quite fit very well. But you do find these shorter ones that fit much better, but I wasn't able to find good setups on those shorter ones most of the time. So again, I'm running into the same issue here. Is this an overshoot or is this not an overshoot? I couldn't tell. And unfortunately, there was a first entry long, potential second entry long here, but you don't know that this signal bar or this trigger bar is going to do that. Because if you had known, then you would have tried to enter right as it broke above here. But this is the signal bar that you're watching because it bounced off the EMA. And unfortunately, it was a terrible signal bar. Plus, with the fact that there was an overshoot here, I was concerned, is there going to be an overshoot here? But you don't know that, and then suddenly it gives you this big candle. Now it's too late to enter this trade unless it gives you a miraculous higher low. You don't get a higher low, it just kind of keeps going. So this bounce here, so at this point, I'm trusting this spike in this shallow yellow up channel pretty well. Looks like it's new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. I actually thought this is a possible trade because you have three things going for it. One, it's bouncing off this yellow up channel support, which has been confirmed. Two, it's bouncing off the EMA. Three, it looks like it's holding because although there's a small break here, it doesn't look like this moved too far from this break to expect a potential break here now. There's a good signal bar. So I thought that actual possible trade here would have worked. Prices move up, breaks to the high side again, hits to the high side here, and then comes back down. I was watching this really carefully. I'm thinking it's first entry long. Could there be a second entry long here? It broke below, so I'm not a big fan of this. The follow through was terrible, so now it's closing below the EMA, so I'm not thinking of going long anymore. You could say it's a visual first entry long, second entry long, but if for me to even consider taking this trade, one, it has to be much earlier in the day, not so late in the day. Two, I want a higher low because I'm thinking I'm in this green down channel. You do get a higher low here, but by the time this shows up, you're in the last 10 minutes. So even if it's a enticing setup, I'm not going to try to risk something like that, especially since I was already green for the day on this one trade. I wasn't going to risk something like this with only 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes left. In this case, it would have worked though. Kind of pushes and then it sells off briefly into the close. So it's been a really choppy day. It wasn't the easiest for me to decipher. There's some confusing areas that I had to kind of make do. And these bigger channels and these ranges were kind of iffy at times. So the trades I did mark, I think they're certainly more aggressive. I think I'd need more like chart time to feel confident and see these more as they play out on such a choppy day like this. So hopefully that was helpful.